An error occurred. Wait a minute. Let's try again. Go live. Come on. Come on, StreamYard. You can do it. And we are live. The technical issues have gone away, hopefully, for the evening.
You're gonna give the introduction in Canadian today, like you did German last night.
Hey guys, what's up?
Lots of days and stories, right?
Welcome to the show, eh? We're here with Tim McKay. How's it going, eh?
Oh man, how you guys doing?
We're here instead of doing something, really fun. So, I mean, not that
late start.
We are with our favorite Canadian, though. I mean, it's on the screen, so we can't even.
Yeah, well, tonight it has to be true, right? No double.
That's right. You're the guest, so it absolutely is true. Unless somebody can show us video evidence of why it's not.
Ooh,
I think Bat Sauce is going to take an attempt at it. All these low T jokes over here. There is context to that.
No, really, you're going to start right out. I mean, that's what you're going to lead with. Bring it.
Yeah, well, what was the original post, Bats, if you're hearing this? I can't remember the actual post, but he had this hilarious comment about I think it was my post about 250 words. I made a post on Twitter saying, I wrote 250 words today, sing my praises, and I guess people really liked that. And Bats shows up in the comments and says something like, that's just a sign of low T. And it just went from there. And, it took me, I had seen Bats around. We chatted in a few different spots. I was about 95% certain he was being sarcastic, but I thought, I know those kind of guys who would actually mean that, though. So just in case, I very tactfully said, okay, so how serious are we being? And it was just great because then all his friends chimed in and said, oh, no, Bats is just an ass. Don't worry about it. It was great.
Well, nice. I mean, seeing you here for the first time, this is the first time you and I have ever met. I have to admit that you are, in fact, the first Canadian Amish person I have ever met.
Yeah, I always get either Amish or hipster indie band member, like lead guitarist for an indie band.
Now you're a bass player.
Okay, there we go. I'm fine with that. Yeah, Nick, this Bats guy is pretty awesome, so you probably challenge someone to do it.
This Bats guy should go out and click the like and subscribe button because we are still 207 away from Mike getting a tattoo on his freaking head. And I, for one, want to see it. So Bats, go round up all your friends. And even if they never watch the show, have them at least subscribe so Mike has to get a tattoo on his head because I want to see him take a bunch of needles to the noggin.
Oh, yeah, that is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, I have, I've got a few couple ones on each arm. And I mean, the only ones that actually really hurt were the ones right at the top of the wrist because it's so close to, bone and nerve. The other ones were pretty much painless, but on the top of the head, yeah, I have to admit, I'm pretty eager to see that happen.
So Adrian Gibson, when he's on our show, he said that he would give me the tattoo at Worldcon in August if push comes to shove.
So awesome. Yeah.
But the rule is it has to be 500 this year for me to get it, this year. Otherwise, I'm waiting until August. And
so we're talking December 31st cutoff.
Yes.
Okay.
Worldcon is when?
August.
August of next year. I did bring that up to Mrs. Bushy this evening. And she didn't outright say no.
Hey.
But had it been in Italy, we'd be going.
Where is the next one out again?
Seattle.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I plotted this out, Tim. It's only a 42-hour drive for you.
I mean, jokes aside, it is really tempting. I need to finally start going to some of these awesome cons. But yeah, that still might be pushing it. We'll see.
So I understand, Mr. McKay, that you have written a book.
Possibly. I mean, the rumor is going around the circle right now, but yeah.
You got to your book in under 5 minutes. That's a good thing. I think we got to call that a win.
Oh, we got to my book in under 5 minutes. Yeah, that's a huge win for this show. I'm surprised we haven't done that.
We must be on some type of time schedule.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, the book comes out on the 26th of September. Pre-orders live now, and yeah, a bit of an update on that front actually. So I mean, I am very happy with the. This is the current cover, so it's the Fall of Salvandrea. Sorry, I realize I'm mirrored right now, but I can always flip it back for you guys. Anyways, you get the idea. Flames, title, borders, cool cover. Anyways, but coming. I don't have a set date for when it's coming. I know when Joe is starting on it, but as of today, there is an illustrated cover for the book coming. So hopefully that'll come out around probably late November, early December is probably when that'll be done and ready.
So you're going to put out your book in September, so people buy it, you hope.
Yeah.
And then you're going to come out with an alternate cover 2 months later, so they have to buy it again.
I might have to push it maybe later so people don't see exactly what I'm doing there, but yes.
That's kind of a big move for a Canadian.
Sorry.
And who's doing the cover?
Sorry, say again?
And who's doing the cover?
It's Joe Requeza. So same guy who did my interior art.
Are you doing it as part of like a Kickstarter or something, or just...
That was tempting, but I don't think so. I think it's just essentially going to be a second cover reveal with the new cover. And I didn't do any signed editions this time around, so I'll be doing a bunch of signed editions with the illustrated cover when that comes out, and maybe a few signed editions of the current version. Since that's going to.
So you're only going to sign the illustrated cover.
Yeah. Well, no, like I said, I might sign a few of these current covers as kind of a exclusive for anyone who wants them now or down the road. But yeah, anyways,
I think you've taken a nice chapter out of the comic book kind of marketing thing. You buy 2 copies, one to read and one to bag and put in a box that remains pristine. So you buy your first one and read that, and then take the second one and you can put it on a shelf to look pretty. Yeah. Is that the idea?
Well, it's honestly, it was more of a scheduling thing. If I could have, I would have just released the illustrated cover, initially. But the long story short is that the initial plan was to go with Felix Ortiz and do a cover. And the earliest we were going to be able to do that was June 2025. And even that was tentative. And then the price was tentative, but maybe a little bit out of the ballpark I was hoping for. So this was also before I had met and interacted with Joe, and then seen just the quality of his art. So once he got back to me with those internal illustrations, I was just absolutely blown away. So not too long ago, I prodded him. I was more just curious, what's his schedule like if he was open to doing an illustrated cover, for the same book. And once he told me when he was open and what his prices were, I thought, okay, no, here's an artist who's flat out instantly earned my loyalty and respect, and so I wanted to go with him. And then it was just a matter of scheduling for when I do release the new cover. I could put it off, but gotta admit, I don't want. I think I'll let that initial wave of ARC reviews come in and feedback from current readers, and then hopefully release the illustrated cover as soon as possible, because it's already something that I was talking about a year ago with people. I'd be happier putting it out sooner rather than later, and then I'll apologize after the fact, Canadian style.
How many books does this make you, Tim?
Well, so technically the 2 books that already show up on my Goodreads and author bios and everything, they're technically the first 2 parts of this book. So the Fall of Salvandrea started out split into 3 parts, and then I just ended up realizing maybe not the best fit to market for the genre, because it's dark epic fantasy. And part of my thinking when I first started writing was the books that hooked me on fantasy when I was younger, they were more serial, shorter, not right between novella and novel length, right on the edge. And I loved that. And I kind of set out initially wanting to recreate that. But the overall story arcs I had in mind were definitely, it meant that each of these shorter books ended on, pretty intense cliffhangers, and without having gotten as deep into the world as I think readers would have liked, or as much as frankly I would have liked. And I got that very quickly in the feedback I was getting from people. So, you know, it's kind of a, yeah, I mean, it was fun. In the one, you know, on the one hand, I went into it with an idea of I'm very new to this. I want to see what people actually think. And they told me, and, you know, it was very easy to make the adjustment to turning this into a full-length novel, you know? Well, full length for me. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did I miss the answer in there somewhere?
Sorry, what was the initial question?
How many books is this for you?
How many books? Yeah, so technically this is my first. That's the answer.
Your first?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
so
but
technically
not,
the two...
not really, but it is.
Yeah. Like the two that I already published, that was last August, and then I published the second one shortly after. Probably, I think it was November. Might have been late October, but it was a few months after.
But they are rolled into this thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I did is I expanded.
So you're making people buy it 3 times.
There you go.
Mad genius.
I actually, yeah. I mean, jokes aside, yes. So it's funny. The people who have read the first two, or even just the first one, a lot of them are going in kind of knowing what to expect from that first chunk. But I got a lot of I pinged a lot of them very intentionally, getting feedback. Okay, what do you think of the revisions? What do you think of the expanded, the added chapters, expanded chapters? Almost every chapter in the originals got either heavy revisions or some serious expansion. So or both. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I think I can safely say it's not the same, but it's enough that, you know, those who whet their appetite on the earlier ones know what they're getting into.
So Tim, to make it more palatable to me, what you're saying is this is the omnibus edition.
Yes. Perfect.
So it's actually 3 separate books. So you're not writing a doorstopper. It's 3 separate books combined into one.
I've actually been saying that to people too. So yeah, when I'm talking to people who like short books, oh yeah, I've written 3. Here you go. You can have them all at the same time, you know. And then when I'm talking to people who like chonkers, well, here you go. 171,000 words is what came from the end.
171. That's not. I mean, that's not.
It's not that bad. I mean, you know, compared to I looked up a bunch of the numbers just the other day. The Snyder Cut. Screw off, Isaac. I don't know. Oh, you know, okay. I will. I really did not like Justice League, and I really did not like what was the Batman versus Superman. Credit where it is due. The Snyder Cuts were better. I'm still not saying they're amazing, but they were better. But yeah, no, this is. Anyways, I don't like that association, so back off, bro.
I didn't see. I saw the Snyder Cut of Justice League.
Okay.
But I didn't see the one before. But it seems like he just turned down the lights.
Fair, yeah. And
I didn't see Batman v Superman at all. So
yeah,
17,000 short stories.
Well,
Dave, I'm sure if you ask him nice, he can put that out there for you, and you can buy 10 different ones.
I could split this up. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. And how many covers are you going to have made?
I mean, for this one, this is it.
I don't know. You can.
Oh, I see. For short stories. Yeah. Oh boy. Let's not go there. I don't think my budget can take any more blows. So,
speaking of budget, what do you do for work?
I do a lot of editing work. I have a marketing job. You know, so that kind of comes and goes because of contracts. So right now,
marketing stuff.
Yeah, so marketing is where I started. Funny enough, out of university, I did some government work, and then I jumped into marketing. I'll fight everyone who didn't like the Snyder Cut.
The Snyder Cut was fine, Julie. It wasn't bad. We're not bagging on the Snyder Cut.
I think with the Justice League Snyder Cut, the only scene I didn't like in the whole thing was the singing in the village. You know, by the you know after Aquaman leave. Anyways, there was very little I actually just detested in that movie. It was good. Overall, it was good. It was just too long. I mean, I like Lord of the Rings, and it was too long for me.
The big problem with Justice League, I think, is that, well, it's DC. And, you know, they have hundreds of characters, yet they keep trotting out the same 5 over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's just boring.
I haven't been really satisfied since the the Christopher Nolan editions. So I loved the Dark Knight trilogy and I loved Man of Steel, and since then it's kind of been.
Which one was Batman Begins?
That was Christopher Nolan. Yes,
Yeah,
that was
those
part of
were
the.
good.
Yeah, those were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. More and more evidence of low T. Oh gosh.
Well, Julia, we don't know if no one will watch the other. Okay. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud.
Is Green Lantern?
I
That's
kind of like
DC,
Green
isn't
Lantern.
it? Okay. I was thinking. I immediately thought of other characters, and then you think of the flop that was. But
I kind of did like it. I mean, I like the character anyway.
I didn't totally hate it. I mean, it was.
Huh?
It was enjoyable. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're not expecting the works of Shakespeare, right? When you're watching a Green Lantern movie, but they just have to. I don't know.
It's
every DC movie since Michael Keaton's Batman. I think the main problem is they introduce the main character and then they don't have like a villain. They bring in 3 villains. And so then you have to.
No.
Okay,
it's not just me. Yeah, I wasn't hearing Ro there for a second.
You're muted, Ro. And fun fact, the last Batman movie I've seen was the Michael Keaton.
Wow,
that's amazing.
That wasn't what I said, but the problem with DC movies is since the Michael Keaton Batman is they bring out their hero, but they give him like 3 villains to work with, and they do not have time or apparently the ability to give a credible backstory to those villains and make you care.
Well, 2 things. So number 1, we do need a Samboni movie. Absolutely. That's amazing. But then,
yes, Dave.
Yeah, with the exception, I liked the Batman, so that was something to Britain. But Ro, did you see The Flash?
The CW show or the movie?
The movie, the more recent movie.
I did not, but
okay.
I do like the 30 seconds of Justice League where Flash says, "What's your superpower?" and he goes, "I'm rich." I thought that pretty much that was probably the best, which tells you the movie. But no, I did not see the Flash movie. Is the answer to the question?
I think you should check out The Flash. It had flaws for sure. It had parts I did not like. It had parts I really liked, some in between. It had a lot of great humor. But I think what you would absolutely love is Michael Keaton coming back as Batman and totally kicking ass. And it's unbelievable.
Oh, that latest one. Yeah, I would probably like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the multiversal one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
DC used to stand for Discount Marvel. Of late, they're both pretty much on. Yeah.
Marvel at least has recognized that they had a low T year, if I may use Dave's thing there, and they're fixing it. They are actually taking steps to fix it, and they admitted that they screwed up. DC has never done that. They just keep saying, "Well, we'll just reboot it again."
Yeah.
You know why they'll buy it? Because I'm Batman.
I mean, that's kind of accurate. People do seem to just keep going for it. And if they can't do that, they'll put out more of those side movies. Say what you will about the Joker, but I mean, that was a pretty good movie. And it felt like it had nothing to do with the universe. But
I will say this to you, and it's not just because I'm sucking up to our favorite Canadian. I want to see an Alpha Flight movie. Because honestly, Alpha Flight is like my favorite Marvel group.
Fair.
And most people are like, who the hell is Alpha Flight? And that's a fair question. But anyway, I'll just throw that in.
I mean, fair.
All right. So
George Clooney. Sorry, I'm seeing Dave's comment there. Yeah, George Clooney makes an appearance at the very end, and it's very fun. Yeah. So
EL is essentially saying Marvel and DC are the same thing. DC is to Marvel as Matchbox is to Hot Wheels. It's
Oh, that's
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they're
That's a deep cut from EO.
So, Tim, I want to first mention that you were the one who brought up DC Comics and got us on this tangent, not us.
yeah. I make no apologies for that. I love the tangents on this, you guys.
But tell us something about your book before we go on another tangent. You got like a minute.
Sure.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, it's dark flintlock fantasy. I like to tell people it's clean but pretty intense for action. Fast paced. So if you like something a little more fast paced, you're going to get a lot of that. Hopefully with some nice breaks, and everything's very bite sized. There are a few chapters that maybe stretch on a bit long in terms of length. Maybe I think the max is 4,000 words, but I tried to keep an average of about 2,000. So it's very bite sized, very digestible is what I was going for. And so flintlock. So it's kind of in a Napoleonic era level technology. You've got lots of dragons, lots of monsters, and everything is okay. Yeah, I'll get to the wall art too. Yeah. The plan is to get some of the internal art from the book actually done up on metal plates, like everything you see behind me except for the big eagle picture. Those are metal plates hung up with magnets, and I love that. So I am planning to get custom ones done with that Joe Urquiza art because I absolutely love those.
They are awesome. I really like those.
Yeah, he absolutely nailed it, and it's so cool just seeing other authors use him a little more now too. I think was it Josh Walker I was seeing with a few going around right now? Yeah, oh, they're beautiful. Yeah, so very cool.
I was only half joking when I said I hope there's 205 pictures in your 705-page book because I do love the art.
I genuinely considered commissioning Joe at the same time as the cover to do a few more and maybe throw them in. I might just have to wrestle with Amazon about not treating that as a new edition because I would suck, overriding the previous reviews. But yeah, so that was the side there. But I might just commission more and find a fun way to do something with those anyway. Because, one, they're awesome. Two, they're great for marketing a book. And three, it's just addictive seeing your own imagination put it on the screen like that. Oh my gosh, yeah. Very fulfilling. And I gave him, you'd have to look at the details you give to someone like him. It's not that much to go off of, really. I tried to be thorough without being overwhelming, and he just went with it, and absolutely nailed all three of those images. So
that's what I learned with my art is I'd be like, okay, I want these 7 people. I want them all basically in a line, like it's police lineup with no action, and he's like, how about if I just do that? I'm like, wow, that's really better. I should probably not give you, paragraphs of direction and just, this is what I want. This is, they must have this eye color. They must be wearing this necklace or something, and otherwise go.
Yeah.
And I'm so much happier now that I'm not interfering.
Yeah. Oh, it's exactly that. And, I see some people who will complain, let's say if they're looking at an illustrated cover, especially the old ones, like let's say old Wheel of Time books or things like that. And they'll see the cover and they'll say, well, that character doesn't look exact. This little detail is a little bit off, and they'll, scream about that. And I don't know. I used to wrestle with that. When I read books, I'm very visual. I'm imagining it's like a movie in my mind as I'm reading. But never once has an illustrated cover or a TV show or a movie depiction ruined my original imagining of the characters. And it doesn't matter what order, I can read after watching and I'll still have my own imagination based on what the author wrote, and vice versa, So it's not, maybe that's just me. I shouldn't be forcing that on other readers, but I don't find minor differences between an artist's unique vision, what they come up with, and what's in your book. I don't think those two have to. I think they can complement each other. It doesn't have to be an exact representation.
Sometimes the author does such a good job of describing it. When the Harry Potter series first came out so long ago, my wife and I were reading them, and this is way before the first movie. And we just we were talking about it one day and said, if they do not get Alan Rickman to play Snape, they have failed. Because both of us saw Alan Rickman in our head as Severus Snape.
Wild.
And it's like,
yeah.
perfect.
And he couldn't have been a better choice. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So, But sometimes also people like, oh, this scene wasn't in the book, right? This
Yeah.
cover wasn't. And Mike's new cover for his book, we were talking about that the other day. He showed me a sketch from Matt, and we had a little discussion about the implications of that cover for the story. And after a while, I think we kind of decided that the picture on the box may not match the contents.
Yeah.
And just
that's tough when it actually varies from the story, which is something I'm wrestling with the details to want on the cover, because the scene that I want depicted is very saturated, and even just a few seconds or minutes away from one moment to the next, a lot changes, and what parts I want to highlight versus what's going to be too much on the cover visually. You kind of want maybe 2 or 3 key things to draw attention, and that's it. So it's a lot of tough decisions to make, because it will maybe just be a little slightly different from the story, and that I do wrestle with a bit more than just like small physical disparities. It's tough.
So with your background in marketing, how do you go about doing that for your book? What's your do you have a process? Because I'm assuming you don't just wing it.
I mean, I'll tell you when I figure it out. I think book marketing, it feels very different. I do try to take in a lot of what I've learned. To get this is a very condensed version, but the long story of my own life is first, ministry. So with churches as a pastor, so 4 years of Bible college.
There's some marketing.
Yeah. So,
right?
I mean, I'm not even kidding. Yes, that's the thing is a lot of those.
Religion is some wonderful marketing.
Oh, when I first started studying marketing, in university, briefly before I transitioned to one of our colleges here in Ottawa, to focus more on the business writing side and the copywriting side of marketing, I remember thinking constantly, churches do this so much better on so many different fronts, and then I actually started studying the marketing of churches in an academic context, which was a crazy amount of fun coming from my background. So and some of these mega churches, including ones I've been a part of, I mean, they know what they're doing, and you don't even realize how intentional some of it is until you look back and say, wow, that was top tier level marketing strategy, and they know, yeah. So going from, like, to me, that's the thing, is it was a long road to get to where I am now from leaving ministry, but it feels very continuous in that regard. A lot of the same skills, a lot of the same lessons apply. For me, in terms of what I do, my big focus, starting out was just building it's funny saying this because I'll just say it and then I'll have some fun with it, but, just building a personal brand and some recognition. So, and most of that for me has been on Twitter or X, Twix, whatever you want to call it. Now, I mean, so that too, I very briefly had a Threads account as well. I just thought, no, this isn't my target market, and this isn't, like, I'm not going to thrive here. It's not where I want to be. Instagram, I'm not the most visual person. A little easier now that I have kick-ass illustrations from a guy like Joe. So I'm trying to slowly build up on Instagram as well. But, my skill stack is kind of more conversation oriented, but then writing oriented, and Twitter is, a dream for someone who's a little more laid back and casual, doesn't really want to be political in the way he talks. That's the kind of person I am. I'd rather just say what I'm thinking when I'm thinking it, and face the consequences after the fact. And so Twitter is kind of a good spot for that to thrive. You can learn as you go.
Twitter's well known for that.
Sorry? Say again?
So Twitter is well known for people just saying what's on the top of their head and dealing with the consequences later.
Now I try to do it with a little finesse, so little, even just little things like, sentence length variation and spacing for visual appeal. So even if it's a text only post, I try to put some thought into, the look and feel of it. And even something like putting 2 emojis whenever I do a hook, the very first sentence you see, it has a visual consistency for people, so people can say, oh, there's the guy in the hat, there's the 2 emojis, it must be Tim McKay, let's see what he has to say today, So little things like that, kind of copywriting 101 right there.
So do you actually like wearing hats, or do you just have to do it now?
I mean, I have hair. I have a lot of hair, so
Rub it in.
we'll see. Yeah, sorry, Mike. We'll see how long that lasts. My dad's side, all healthy, heads of hair, and then my mom's side, all the men are worse than Mike. So they say you get it from your mom's side.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Enjoy it while you have it.
Yeah.
This is your
Yes.
future.
Yeah.
So step one for marketing your book is to get 10,000 followers on Twitter, right?
It seems to help just a bit.
I'm writing these down.
It's funny though. We could even have conversation. I know a lot of more marketing-oriented authors who would say I've gone about a few things the wrong way, and I'm yet to see if they're right or wrong. So a lot of it is trial and error. But then a lot of it is just connecting with the community, and by far that's where I've brought in more sales in the past, and even now, just the number of people who responded to Step One fame. Yeah. Like the number of people who responded when I first asked for beta readers, was mind blowing. But it's because I'd built, I'd connected with people in the community. I'd built a reputation. I'd offered free chapter edits to other authors, things like that just put me out there. And so people, especially people who I'd edited for in the past, were like, oh, I'd be happy to, there's kind of that reciprocity built in there. The trickier thing has been finding more in the review side where, I'm coming in as a newcomer and connecting just with, it's almost its whole other culture and its whole other community. But, that's why I started, I think I was about 6 months in on Twitter before the very first booktuber I connected with was Matt Sorensen from Beard of Darkness,
Yep.
And I forget what his post was. He made one post on X and he had just created his account. So I have no idea how it got into my feed, but it did. And I immediately thought, this is my guy. Like, this is someone who is speaking my language, who I can relate to. So I just started hanging out, seeing what he had to say, loved it. And we started chatting. And then people were coming to him. And then I was just kind of hanging around saying hi. And next thing you know, they were coming to me too. And I thought, okay, this is awesome. Like, I just found kind of, they say, real branding or real marketing or real whatever you want to call it, it's finding your tribe, it's finding your people, and so it took a while to get there, but I feel like I'm starting to get there, and it's been a blast. So
fun fact, Matt started his channel and we started this channel within a week of each other, and wow. Look at where we are now.
Where are we exactly?
He has like 4 or 5 times as many subscribers as we do.
Oh man, you're going to blame me, aren't you?
Well, I don't want to blame Tim. He's our favorite Canadian. Although, if you do, they're too polite. So,
You know what? I will do my absolute best going forward to make sure we get that head tattoo for you, Mike.
Thank you. I mean, Bo put on Twitter that he's going to pay for some bot farming.
So
and Jason said he'd pitch in.
Yeah.
And I think Nick here also said that that's the only ethical use of bots.
Yeah.
So told my mom to subscribe.
Oh my God.
You are a gentleman and a scholar, Timothy.
I don't know how to feel about that.
You're in our top 3 favorite Canadians, and you're not even Canadian.
You can say top 3 Tims, right? I feel like that works.
Oh, well, I mean, Tims are in a class all their own.
Yeah, there's so many of us now. It's awesome. We got a total democracy going on here. Oh man, I think it was in Poly. We had a. She said no.
Oh, your mom is a woman of discerned taste.
That's funny. That's terrible. Sorry, guys.
That pretty much sums up our FML.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh man.
No, don't answer that.
Wait, me or Timothy Wolf?
Yeah.
Other Tim.
Yeah.
Good God. Oh, that's so funny. Maybe this should be a radio podcast or a podcast after.
Yeah, we are definitely, we have faces for radio. There is no doubt about that. We should probably just do this as a podcast.
So good. Oh man.
What's your writing process like, Tim?
Yeah, that's been a fun one to wrestle with. Then I think I've wrestled more with the editing process over the last year. My writing process, it seems to have very quickly settled, where it is, and then stayed. We'll see once I get deeper into this next book. I think I actually just wrapped up the prologue today, which took a lot longer than I wanted it to, but it's always like that. I write in sprints, so usually maybe 2.5 months as a max, and maybe 1 month as a minimum, somewhere within there. And I just consistently write every day. First few days, usually a few hundred words. And then once I hit that momentum, it usually turns to 700, 1,000, 1,500. And then, I don't know, I've had days where I've written as much as 7,000 words, and those are few and far between. And I don't like what comes out. I'll be on, and I get that some people say just put it on the page. I try to do I do that to an extent. I won't over edit as I'm writing, but I find I like to still be okay with the quality of what comes out at the end of the day. So I found that sweet spot where the quality really starts to plummet is around 2,000 words. So I usually won't let myself go over. And
as an editor who charges by the word, I think just put words on a page is a fantastic idea. I am all for that.
Yes, it is a very profitable technique for editors to recommend.
So, fun story. My first book, my first editor, she told me, she goes, well, for developmental edit, I charge anywhere from 3 to 7 cents a word. I have to start reading your story first, and then I decide how much I'll charge you.
I mean, fair.
For developmental edit, 3 to 7 cents a word. And
let's get into some weeds here. Tim, you edit. What's your going rate for editing?
Honestly, my editing I kind of do more as a service. I offer it as cheap as I can, which right now I've left at half a cent per word.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which is kind of fun for me. To me, it's right now I'm just trying to gain that experience.
Is that
most of my editing experience is academic. That's where I was an editor primarily, during my university years. Okay.
So Tim, you're got to run for your money now. We got Juliana and Kay both here for running for favorite Canadian. So
I mean that's tough. That's tough.
This is kind of
I wouldn't blame you if you chose either of them over me. They're both awesome.
I think this is the first time we've actually had like 2 or more females here. This is kind of weird.
At least they're willing to be in the comments.
Well, if we had somebody's mom, if Tim's mom would show up, we'd be
I know,
we'd be laughing. But no, she's going to be like that. So whatever.
So good.
Yeah, we haven't forgotten.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
Tim, I have a question for you.
Sure.
You've shown poor judgment in deciding to write a book when you could be doing so many other things.
Yep.
When are you going to show exceedingly poor judgment and start your own YouTube channel?
Isaac and I were talking about this a few weeks ago. If you're still in the chat, it came up. I'm kind of tempted at some point. I don't think I would do it so much on the review side for now. I'm not the fastest reader. That's the thing. I don't think I could keep up with review requests and things like that. I'm sitting at table 3 women. Yeah. But I mean, Isaac and I were just having the conversation about, chats just with other authors. I love these opportunities. StreamYard makes it so easy to even connect with other booktubers and have these conversations simultaneously. I've looked into it. I've looked into the pricing. I've looked into how I would maybe do it, maybe getting, the thumbnail designs and logo design. Yeah, it might happen. Probably not for at least a few months. That's a probably mid 2025 thing if I do end up doing it. But I am thinking about it.
I'll give you a word of warning.
Yep.
You followed Matt, the Beard of Darkness.
Yep.
And you see he started doing an interview, and then all of a sudden it's like every single night he was doing an interview. And now you see he's pulled way back.
Yeah.
And
I mean, burnout
Yeah, Ro and I
with anything, burnout is something always to watch out for, and I've been on both extremes of that,
So, and I told people, Ro and I, for May, June, and July, we did 40 shows in 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So, just keep it, slow down. I can schedule 3 months ahead of time without, without trying. I can get 3 months worth of guests at 10 shows a month and not have any trouble. But there's people are there. So do not go crazy. Your mental health.
I'm loving Andrew's comment right now. This YouTube thing is a wash. You'll have to chug a maple syrup every day.
Yeah.
Says I don't, Andrew. Who says I don't?
Not all the Super Trooper makes it out to be.
Actually, you know what? I forgot to throw maple syrup in my whiskey tonight. So I've totally failed the Canadian bar.
JH Bards, man, it's already mixed in.
Oh yeah, you were telling me what's the kind again?
Still not finished.
Nice. Yes. We've got one they make in Quebec, and I always forget the name, but I used to have it every once in a while, and it was just too yeah. Yes, maple syrup and coffee is absolutely fantastic.
Too Quebec.
That hurts, Kay. That really hurts. It's not too late. I have more whiskey. I always have more maple syrup. Actually, I don't. Okay, it probably doesn't count as the Canadian card, but for my last marketing job, they gave for Christmas. Their gift to me was a smoker kit. So
what?
It had, you put wood chips in the top, and the smoke seeps through into the whiskey glass below, and you just cover it.
Oh, right.
So and you just grab like a creme brulee torch or whatever, and so I have to admit my guilty pleasure is smoking whiskeys these days, with or without the maple syrup. But I feel that feels Canadian to me. I don't know. I smoke out in the woods while camping, something. I don't know. Anyways, that's my poor attempt at a Canadian defense. Oh man,
A little smoked maple whiskey and poutine. I think that's the way you need to go. Here's what I give you. Tim posts on Twitter that he will shave his beard and raffle off his hat. I mean, I think we could probably get up to a couple thousand for that.
oh, that's hard. You'll go to sleep closer to 1500.
Now, that brings up a fine question that has nothing to do with your books, which is really our sweet spot.
Yeah.
Would you consider shaving your beard for charity?
Oh yeah, like that question scarred me just as I read it. Like it was only at the very end of Bible college, so around 22 years old, that I even started being able to grow really anything. And then it was probably by the time I left ministry that I had something resembling a beard. And at some point I did shave it all off. I think I was 26 at the time. And it was scarring. It was visually scarring, not just for me, but for everyone around me. You don't want to see that stuff. Okay, that's the word I'm going to use. You do not want to see that. I think it's more of a charitable act for me to keep this chin covered. Okay, that's.
I think you're rapidly closing in on that kind of ZZ Top level of fame, though, where your could do some serious good.
Here's the thing about Twitter fame is I have an okay ratio where I think I follow 1,000 or more. Sorry, I am followed by 1,000 or more people more than I follow in return. I try to follow more authors and reviewers. That's kind of my space, and maybe some marketers, just because I like to follow them for stuff I can learn from. But like real celebrity status on Twitter is if you follow 3 people and are followed by 10,000 or more, right? So I'm kind of don't get fooled. I'm just a nice person. I just follow people I like, and they follow me, and that's that. It's not. It's
Dave Lawson. That's brilliant right there.
He turns to scar everyone's eyes with his. Yes, you know what? See, that's a better strategy. I will shave if you don't follow these awesome guys. I will shave my beard, and maybe Actually, I look good bald, so I'm not worried about that. But I was going to say I'll shave my hair too, but
I wonder what I'd look like bald.
shut up. I want to see it braided. Yes. Okay. So to answer that other comment, I do technically own, but I'm not yet willing to publicly wear beads, and I can braid this. So that has been tested, and it doesn't look nearly as bad as I expected. So maybe if I ever go like any more hipster than I already have. I used to make fun of hipster looks, and now I'm like an Amish Canadian indie band member. So yes, my life is full of regrets. I am fully self-aware in this regard.
You are the tragically hipster.
Yeah, but I'm holding out on the beard beads and the braids. But I've just accepted the inevitability. It will happen. It just hasn't happened yet.
There are worse looks. See, Mike.
Like honestly, it doesn't look half bad. It's actually a pretty cool look. But I'm probably biased. But yeah. It probably looks better than the scraggly Amish look I've got going on. So we'll see. Yeah, it's exactly Viking style ones are exactly what I have.
You could braid it up like the Lord of the Rings dwarves.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the a mix of Viking and Lord of the Rings dwarf is kind of the look I'd go for. I think I need to grow it a bit longer first before I could really pull it off. But the tragically Tim.
Nice.
My oldest brother is Tim, and I think I'm going to have to call him that now.
So I have a brother named Tim.
Yeah. Oh, Tim, there's so many great Tim nicknames. It's awesome. It's the blessing and the curse of being a Tim.
Growing up, he was so proud of himself. He used to tell everyone that they were intimidated by him.
Yep. I had that. Intimidation with fighting, because I used to do some sparring back in the day. We had the Timinator, or just Tim the Terminator, but that was one that went around. Have you ever been to Tim Hortons?
I've heard of it.
So that's about as Canadian as you can get. So I used to get Tim Hortons, or if you know what a Timbit is, I used to get Timbit all the time. Nice. That's by far the most common one I've gotten. As a Canadian, Timbit is just the nickname you're cursed with from young age.
Without his permission, I'm going to show you my brother Tim.
Okay.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's when the gray sets in, there you go.
I have some already coming, so we'll see. I turned 32 this year, and I've already got. It's hard to see on camera, but if we were in person, you'd see it right away. I have like silver wings on the side of my head.
You're 32, and it's still that gray, man. That's pretty good. I was turning gray in my 20s. Fair.
Yeah, I think my dad was too. But he has black hair, and so he was salt and pepper by the time he was my age. So. Yeah, I'm doing okay for now. I every once in a while I get a white hair in my beard and it just sticks out like a sore thumb. I actually leave it because it's more funny to me than anything. But time travel to be Tim McKay.
or maybe Tim McKay is the new incarnation of my brother Tim.
Hey, the wheel turns.
Seeing how there is a fairly significant age gap there. E.L. Montague is going over to Beard of Darkness.
No, he's not.
He is going to be interviewed over there, I think, about 8 o'clock.
8:30, I think.
Oh, wait.
Right?
Read the message on the screen.
Matt's had an issue, and we will be rescheduling. So you're going to stay here. Yeah. All right. Well, good.
Editors and authors, all of us, and we can't read a message all the way through.
I'm sorry, E.O. I meant to ban you like 20 minutes ago, and I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's too
EL's
bad.
on our show tomorrow night, right?
Yep. It's going to be hard to ban him. He's the guest.
Mike? Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, okay.
Brilliant. That'll be fun, though. I'm looking forward to it, EL. Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, see, that's the thing, too. I basically come to these things almost, basically one a night. So I figure if I have the time for this, I can probably, manage to do one of my own, maybe not every night, but... yeah, so that's kind of where the motivation came from.
That's how they get you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be easy, you tell yourself.
Yeah, it'll be. No, I'm not that
take
naive.
over
Yeah,
your
I
life.
see the. I see what it's done to your hair, Mike. So I'm aware of what you mean.
Yeah, but the real thing is Rose. He used to have a whole head of hair when we started. We were just assuming he'd go bald.
It's on its
So
way.
good.
So, Tim, I have to ask
Yeah.
You don't
if
have
you would
to.
like to enter the Bald Dome.
Mm,
Because I actually don't know
yes.
anything about any characters in your book, even though you came on to talk about your book today.
Hey, hold on, Mike. Before you do that, Tim, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Glenlivet. It's
Ooh, Glenlivet. That's nice.
Yeah, 12-year Scotch. Yeah.
Yeah, Glenlivet's the stuff. That's good.
It's a good Scotch. Yeah.
Absolutely.
With I forget what kind of wood, but with wood chip smoked over top first. So yeah.
This is a family show. We don't want to get into kind of wood. You got, yes, some oaky dude. Yes, yes, yes. By the way,
Fair.
absolutely.
Yeah, Canadian whiskeys. Gretzky has a good one. 40 Creek, I like to have. There's a very specific, the Northern Harvest Rye from Crown Royal. That one won a whole bunch of awards one year, and I do like it. Tim's characters can destroy anything in the dome. Thanks, Isaac. Depends which one we choose, but yeah. I have got more than a few overpowered characters, so just fair warning, this could go just about as well as the three-headed monster night went. So that was a good time.
The guy who does the D&D stats still complains about that.
So funny.
He's like, no, this shouldn't exist. You're not supposed to make a deity. And I'm like, yeah, well.
That's how the cookie crumbles. That was fun. These are so cool.
Root beer's great. I love root beer.
It is.
Yes.
Brits do not understand root beer at all. You give a Brit root beer, and it's like if you or I were to drink Moxie. I don't know if anybody's ever had Moxie, but Moxie is straight up poison in a bottle, and it's marketed as soda in the upper New England area. It's the worst shit you could ever put in your mouth.
Yeah, okay, I see the Samboni quote going around. I thought, okay, would my characters stand a chance against Samboni? But Isaac, yeah, I mean, it would be tough. At the very least, it would be a close call. Valderis Draskar against the Samboni, that might actually be the thing that does him in.
You guys are way overestimating Samboni.
Okay, another tangent, but speaking of drinks that vary, have you, I don't even know, every time I go to the States, I end up having, sweet tea or real iced tea, right? Just, right? Like black tea in water with ice and some sugar, maybe some lemon, right?
Yeah.
Versus the sludge we have here in Canada, like Nestea. It's like the consistency of Coca-Cola, but called iced tea, and it's just syrup and sugar and I mean, I'm a huge tea drinker, so getting to go to the States and have the real stuff, I realized, wow, this is what heaven is like. And then you come back here, anyways, yeah. So I don't know if you've had experience with the really crappy iced tea types.
I have lived in Virginia for 12 years, and I am 56. I have never drunk iced tea.
What?
Any of the above kinds?
I've never drunk iced tea.
Wow.
You married a British woman and you don't drink tea, or
Brits
just
don't
not
drink iced tea. They drink tea.
They drink tea, I swear. Unsweetened iced tea. Yeah, fair, Dave.
Yeah, iced tea, any type of iced tea, I've never had it.
Wild. Yeah. Now, because I'm in Ottawa, which is, Canada's sleepy capital, that's the only way to describe it. It's a very sleepy city. It's about 1 million people, so it's kind of right on the edge of being big enough for there to actually be something going on, but it's also full of bureaucrats because it's a government city.
1 million people.
Yeah, but it's kind of
35,000.
That's okay. No, I've lived in a town of 1,000.
In your apartment block.
I lived in a small town of 1,000 people for about a year or so. Like I get it, but it's such a boring. I've also lived in Montreal, and for a while I spent a good
Montreal's
amount of
a good time.
That's a fun city, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That was a great time. That's where I did most of my ministry, was in Montreal.
In Montreal, that was a losing battle.
Yeah, corruption is hard to avoid in this place.
Start on St. Catherine Street and try your luck there.
Canadian shade being thrown here.
Ottawa only has museums, and I mean, no, that's it's true. You know, the Byward Market is kind of our core area of activity, and it's fun. But like, still, at the end of the day, we have museums and we have the Rideau Canal, which, I mean, is great to skate on, and it's great with beaver tails, and that's it. And you know, if you drive half an hour, 45 minutes, you can get to some moderate ski hills and have some fun. But anyways.
Question: what is a beaver tail?
It's a pastry. It's in the shape of a beaver tail, but it's a pastry.
For this.
Yep. Yeah, we're famous for it. Although they have them in the States now too. I think they've actually opened up a bunch of spots in Texas and a few other places. So the Parliament buildings are cool. Yeah. It's a beautiful city. It's very beautiful, but very sleepy. And I forget how I got on ranting about how sleepy a town it is, though. So that's on me. But anyways, yeah. Just had beaver tails today. Oh, that's awesome.
That is a sentence I have never seen written down before.
That's
ever.
awesome. They are good, though, right? I mean,
are they like elephant ears? Are they like the same thing, or?
I've never had elephant ears, but possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a thin bready pastry, and then they put on like cinnamon and sugar, or you can get other stuff thrown on. Yeah.
Yep, sounds familiar. Okay.
Sadly, I'm not Canadian. Yeah, that is the thing we have going for us. Beaver tails, maple syrup, lots of apologies.
And no one in your city says a boot?
I have never, ever met someone who says a boot. It's the one. Most stereotypes about Canadians are absolutely true. That is one I've never encountered. Not once.
You've never encountered what?
A boot. I don't know someone who says a boot.
Oh yeah.
Instead of about,
Yeah, I mean, it's not as pronounced as a boot, but there's definitely a difference. Me and a buddy of mine were at a hockey game in Oklahoma, I think, once years ago, and this guy was talking to the reporter afterwards, and he was talking, and we just like, yeah, that dude's Canadian, and
yeah,
because we were skating about. It's just the way they say the O's. But yeah, absolutely. I don't believe you've never heard that. I just don't think you hear it.
Fair. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's definitely an accent or several accents, but I mean, and then if you meet someone from Newfoundland, it's a whole other level of thing. Yeah. Yeah. And one that some of us have going for us that most Canadians don't, but if you grow up near French Canada, so Quebec or parts of New Brunswick, a lot of us will say tour instead of tour. And that drives a lot of people nuts in my experience.
Tour? I'm going to take a tour?
Yeah, yeah.
That's how you say tour.
Okay, well, I meet a lot of people who say it's tour and are willing to physically fight me on it, but I just grew up with tour, so.
Okay, well, see, I was born and raised in a town 9 miles from the border of Quebec.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So that may do it too.
So when I go home, I lose my THs. They all become Ds. So,
that's
what
funny.
you doing there? By God, well, we're going down there,
And cheers, John. Yeah, nice to see you around.
And once you realize you're doing it, it's, oh my God.
Yeah.
Why do I sound like this? But
well, I did an internship before going to Montreal. I did my internship in Quebec City. So, I mean, even more immersed in French, right? And so that was about 4 months that I was there. And then I went from that to Montreal. So I came back from that roughly maybe year and a half, closing on 2-year period, with a lot of interesting Quebecois habits that I had picked up just in the way I spoke. It was very entertaining for some of my friends.
Did they include looking down your nose at Americans and sneering?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't see. Because I was a mostly. Well, I had weird privileges when I was in Montreal because my dad is half French Canadian, so it meant I could kind of get by, But if they sense English in you, you're done. If you're talking to a French Canadian in Quebec City, they love you. someone who's English but trying to learn French is a god to them. They're like, oh, this is c'est magnifique, blah blah blah. You know, they're ready to just worship the ground at your feet and teach you French. If you slip into even the remotest hint of English while trying to speak French in Montreal, you're dead to them. They instantly switch to English because they don't want you sullying their language, and then they will just frown at you just with pure, unadulterated hatred until you leave. Just get out of this restaurant. Stop trying to order coffee. Please go away. It's wonderful.
That sounds wonderful.
To put this
Very,
in
very hospitable place, that Montreal city.
So Montreal are the French who rolled over to the Germans, and Quebec City are the French who continued fighting.
Did I say that again?
I said Montreal are the French in European terms who rolled over to the Germans, and Quebec City are the French who continued fighting as part of the resistance.
That's fair. Yep.
Those are the two Frenchies that you have there, basically.
The funny thing for me going to Quebec City, coming from Ottawa, so, you know, when I first mentioned Ottawa, I said it's the capital of Canada, which it is. Until you go to Quebec City and see the big sign as you drive in on the main highway that says, Bienvenue à la capitale nationale, right? Welcome to the national capital, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Freaking Quebecois, right? It's
Vive la résistance, you know, it's great. That was a
for
bit
anybody who
jarring to me.
doesn't know what we're talking about. The Quebecois is a political group within Quebec, and they every 10 years or so have a referendum on secession or whatever. And over the years, as they continue doing this, because Quebec used to be very bilingual, like back in the 80s. But over the years, as it's gotten more and more annoying, the English-speaking population has said, right, screw this. There are 9 other, now I guess there are 10 or 11 other provinces that we can go to. We don't need to stay here. And so there have been much more Quebecois have been gotten more of a percentage of the population. So there's your north of the border history lesson for America's hat today, and that's all we're doing.
That sums it up pretty well. Yeah. And Julietta, yeah. I mean, I'm not. I mean, these are like, this is my lived experience. This is what I've seen. It's very true. This is what Quebec looks like. Yeah.
As
so much for friendly. I am friendly but sarcastic. Okay, that's my defense. You know, sarcasm is our humor. You know, and not exclusively. Clearly, I'm talking to you guys. But
it's the dry humor, right? Like the British are well known for their very dry kind of humor, and that's fine.
I love it. I don't know. I've met people who flat out think this is also coming back from some of it from my church days, but even people outside of church environments who just genuinely believe sarcasm is evil, whether it's a sin in Christian terms or just wrong. You know, people will catch it on you, and it's just dry, fun humor. We're just goofing off. Calm down.
Sarcasm is evil. I'm the devil.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll be praying for you now.
You don't play the foosball. Well, was he? I'm the devil. Anyway. You wanted to go into the ball dome, Mike, 20 minutes ago?
Let's do it, yeah.
Well, you know, we had to go on another tangent. It's all
or 3 or 5 or however many that was.
Hold up your book every now and then, Tim, so we remember why we're actually here.
There you go. Another one for you.
This is all so you can get to know Tim, not so you can buy his book necessarily. Holy shit, that's thick.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the hardcover. Okay, but
wait a minute. Is there a 1 at the top of that?
Yes,
there is. How many are there going to be like that size?
Oh, minimum 3. 3, like.
Okay.
Yeah. So
9 books in Mike terms.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, divided in 3, it comes to about 57,000 words. You know, and they're pretty. I like, to me, there's a nice division between each 2. So if you read a third and you need the break, it's there for you. You know. Oh, hey Trinity, yeah, awesome. There's more hair on his chin than both we have on your head.
Oh, that's not really a challenge.
Yeah, the bar is pretty low there.
So bad.
Okay, Tim, before we get on another tangent, which is going to happen.
You know what? Sorry, but the thought I was going to say, Mike, just because you'll have more fun with this, when I experimented with spaced paragraphs and no indent, right? This is what that looked like. I mean, you know, like size comparison, paperback to paperback, this is the difference that made.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the slightly thinner is indented paragraph, and the other one is spaced paragraphs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it added a solid 100 pages to the page count.
Wow.
I have to tell you, I was sad that the spaced paragraphs lost so.
Oh yeah, it got murdered. Oh,
I was so like, yes, spaced paragraphs, they're awesome. And then
I'll save this proof copy just for you.
Take that, Tim Wolf. I'll have the $25,000 copy.
You're going to have to change, Mike. It's not 500 pages anymore. It's like 250 now.
Yeah. Well, it's 3 books. That's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah, that's a good attitude going in. If you finish the first, even though it's on a pretty big cliffhanger and you'll be wanting some explanation that comes later, if you finish the first and it's not your cup of tea, it's safe to bet it's not going to be your cup of tea going forward. Idea, no paragraphs. Oh.
Julia, I like that. Just one giant long paragraph.
Oh, you're the like from you know those anyone with university experience. You know those annoying academics that get praised as the gods of academia, and they're just pedantic, talk around in circles, nonsense drivelers, and that's how they write. You know, just one long stupid stream of consciousness with a few citations thrown in. Mm-hmm. Like, no, you're speaking my horror language here, not love like horror language. You want to break my soul? Give me a like 5-page paragraph.
So the guy who's talking about getting a YouTube channel with you says it can be done.
It would be hard, but it can be done.
So, keep that in mind before you start your channel and you go way past Ro and I.
So what we'll do is this. We'll write it all as one paragraph, and just to add to it, we will justify the right margins. So it'll all just be a solid block.
Oh, so yeah.
Instead of ragged right, it'll all be justified on both sides.
Yeah, that hurts. I mean, that would look better at least than justified left. So I can't hate it.
That would be daunting.
Oh, I hate justified. Hate it with a passion.
That doesn't matter with you.
There are so many things, Ro.
What do you have against white space?
I dislike it.
I have very mixed feelings about that. Coming from academia, you know, they insisted never use justified. They didn't like seeing that. I'm used to left justified or left aligned, but I love. Okay, it depends. If you don't have hyphenation and you end up with huge spaces because of the justification, then yeah, that's annoying. You know, yeah, that's the exception for me. Yeah.
But no, you got to have it ragged right, and you need the indents and all that, Mike. Otherwise, it's just freaking awful, is what it is.
Dave, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. 14-page short story. Oh, yeah. I don't miss my marking days as a TA in university. There were some fun stories there. I think I TA'd for a world religions course once where I got entire Wikipedia pages submitted to me as term papers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And those are the good stories. Those are the ones that were at least easy to give an F and hand off to the professor to flunk them. But anyways, yeah. Written in Comic Sans.
I have a use for Comic Sans, and I'm trying to make this happen. You can all help me. This should be our default font for sarcasm because there's no other way to indicate sarcasm. It should be written in Comic Sans.
It's genius, yeah.
That would give it a reason to exist.
Genius.
What?
Don't tell Ro he's genius.
I'm a genius. Is that inconceivable there, Vasily?
It is inconceivable.
So good. So good. The first time you said that, I've never been able to unsee it since. It's terrible.
I'm totally okay with that.
Don't mess with a Sicilian when death is on the line.
There you go. There's the title for it, the book.
Oh, that movie is like my whole childhood. So that's just a beautiful, yeah, that's wonderful.
Somebody's got to explain this to some Wookiee dude.
Britton, you got to see Creature Creations. We've done 2 on our channel. We're doing our 3rd one on Monday. You'll have to take part in it eventually, but you have to watch them first so you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Basically, a Zamboni is a piece of popcorn that's fallen on the ground that has somehow grown a shell and an attitude.
It collects teeth.
It collects teeth. It is underwhelming in the extreme, but somehow Mike continues to try to sell this as a monster.
Give me a second here, Britton. I am going to actually show you what it is.
The rodents of a full size.
You got to compare to the to our one from a month earlier.
Oh, wait, somebody has a real question.
That is the Zamboni, Britton.
Not the skull. That little
yeah.
booger in the middle.
The little tadpole with a shell around it that is naturally aggressive and collects teeth.
And it's the size of your thumbnail.
Yeah. And very dangerous.
Very dangerous over short distances. Oh, it's so good. It's so dumb. Yeah, compared to, I don't know if you have the three-headed monstrosity we came up with, but yeah.
Yes, I'm getting it. Where is it? There it is.
So, Tim, while Mike tries to figure this out, Trinity actually had a real question.
Yeah. I mean, I think I knew from the first, so I started writing the first part of this book before I actually went into there we go. There's the godhood of creature creation to start things off proper.
199 hit points if you play the end.
So good. Yeah. Anyways. So I've been joining Unpublished Authors Show since I wrote a novel. Yeah. I don't know. So I had started writing before I went into the writing program. Now, again, I went into the writing program more focused on the business side because they did half of their courses were focused on. Hey, EC's here. How you doing, Ed? EC Grieves in the house. Yeah. Nice. So I went in focused more on the marketing side. That's copywriting, marketing, and business writing were the focus of a lot of the courses. But the other half of the program was creative writing. And the majority of the people who jumped into this program were there for the creative writing. So, I had already started writing my novel, which was a story in and of itself. But then I'm surrounded by all these other authors and taking creative writing courses and going to workshops and going back and forth. And good thing Zamboni averages 10 days, 20. Gosh. Yeah. I don't know. So we had some publishing courses. We had some editing courses. We had some graphic design courses, including book interior design and cover design, things like that. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of stuff that I now find extremely useful. And the thing is, in the midst of all that, we were all having these conversations about publishing, and everyone around me wanted to get traditionally published. But I went into this program knowing very little about that process, and by the end of it, I was horrified. It sounded like hell to me. Mm-hmm. Everything I hated about academia, right? Wrapped into this like monstrous, far worse version of itself is what I see traditional publishing as. It's, the bias of peer review mixed with, people who've been there way too long, not budging and, basing decisions on what's good on whatever whim they have. I don't know, like the whole process of going to an agent to then get the agent to beg someone else to then maybe consider publishing you a few years down the road and maybe or maybe not give you money for. Anyways, I don't know. It sounded like hell to me to be asking permission to tell a story that I didn't that I didn't necessarily want to market to the same crowds as most of these agents were looking for anyway. And then at the same time I was studying marketing, I discovered this thing called, Twitter, where you can meet tens of thousands of people just by posting your thoughts once a day. Like, we don't live in a world where you really need to go through gatekeepers to get access to the public anymore, So to me, it was just an automatic, I have no interest in going through that process of permissioned publishing,
I think a lot of indies in our little dark heart of hearts wouldn't mind it, right? If there were something in the contract that gave you back the rights to your IP if the book didn't sell a certain amount in a certain amount of time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, them tying up your IP when they don't put any real effort into, trying to sell it, and then they still want you to do all the work, social media wise, and that you would have to do as an indie anyway. It's kind of like, well, what are you actually offering me? A free cover and some editing. Get bent. That's not. No.
Yeah. Now the thing is, I can empathize, right? I can empathize from their perspective. They get so many submissions. They're trying to anticipate a market they can't possibly anticipate, so they're dealing with a lot in terms of just market research on one side and way too much income, or not income in terms of money, but input coming from authors, right? That they have to vet somehow. So that's why we see such extreme vetting processes and then even when you get through, they're still taking a big chance on you, right? A huge chance on you. And even a good quality book in the wrong year with the wrong market going on, and you're coming in without the kind of communities that we have access to in these sorts of community, in this sort of online indie community, they're taking a huge chance. So I get it. If they commit a huge amount of resources to every author they take on, they get stretched too thin. And if they don't take any authors, if they only take the ones they think are a guaranteed slam dunk, well, then they go under because they're not reputable or big enough.
Part of that, though, you have to lay at their feet because that industry really hasn't changed much in the last 15 or 20 years that self-publishing has been a legitimate option for people. They are still working on timescales that are just like they were 40 or 50 years ago, right? Taking 2 years to put out a book when it just doesn't take that long. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and that's even on the good end for a lot of these authors. 2 years is kind of speedy for a lot of them, and I mean, without getting to specifics here, even in the vanity publishing world, where they pretend to be both, but they'll streamline it and still do it in maybe a year if you're lucky, and for an egregious cost to do the same services that you can get with a freelance quality editor for a quarter of the cost. Like the simple truth is, it is cheaper and easier and better in every single freaking way to do a lot of this stuff yourself. And I don't just mean on your own, but working with freelancers, freelance artists in my case, but I'm doing freelance editors, obviously, I think a lot of us, especially in school, in universities, right, and in school as you're growing up, you're told that the way to get published is to go trad, and anything else sounds too hard because you just don't know, right?
Right.
And it's not to say that it is easy. It's not, but it's not that much easier going trad. And like, Ed says here, it's really just a little nepotism thrown your way and maybe a cracker on the side, like you're not getting much out of that deal anymore.
No. All right, Mike.
Yes. It is time. Okay, Tim.
This way. Okay.
What characters are you choosing for this?
Yeah, I mean, so do I just go kind of ultimate badass? We don't fully know his intentions. Do I go sassy, unpredictable, almost to the point of being annoying, hothead? Sword master. What do you have a hint? What kind of character do we want to be bringing into this mess? You know what? Let's go 9-year-old, unpredictable, ADHD, sweetheart girl who just flies off. Yeah, let's. Or we could roll for it. No, then I'd have to think what number goes with what character.
Let's bring the impressionable child into this. That'll be fun.
I like 9-year-old impressionable child. Yeah.
Okay.
Who also is, well, anyways, we won't get into that. I'll reveal that as we go. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Oh, where did it go? I had it. Oh, there it is. You are in a labyrinthine city built within the branches of a giant tree.
Okay.
And you have a pink fizzy potion.
And yes, you have
pink fizzy this time.
Yes. Why not?
Okay. Yep.
And now you get to choose a regular item or a weapon.
Just one of those two, or I get to imagine what it is.
You get to pick one, and then Mike tells you what it is.
And
okay,
then
regular item. Let's do regular item.
Okay, you get a hoe.
Okay.
You could have had a lance, but you went with a hoe.
I mean, she's 9 years old. I think she's gonna have
Right.
trouble.
Right. She doesn't know how to use either one of them.
And if you'd gone with the lance, you would have to fight a pack of werewolves. But now with your hoe, you only have to fight a grizzly bear in a tree city.
Okay.
So what happens?
Thing coming up.
The pink fizzy potion, you can down it yourself, or you can throw it at the bear, and it'll automatically hit and affect that and whatever it is it does.
Oh, that's tough. See, yeah, she would definitely drink it. It looks delicious. It looks fizzy and delicious. She would drink it in a heartbeat.
3 in a row for the potion, man. This is kind of
Absolutely.
So the potion is a potion of strength. So she has doubled her strength for 10 minutes.
Perfect. Well, double almost nothing isn't saying much. But.
Which is great until in the tree somewhere, there's a bunch of people up there who think, oh, no, this isn't right. She shouldn't have that kind of strength of a boy. She's a little girl. She's going to be asking to use the wrong bathroom next. But that's a whole other thing. So.
Oh, okay, sure. Go ahead, Tim. Your double strength little girl with a hoe facing a grizzly bear, which apparently can climb this giant tree city.
Yeah, I mean, well, she's faced worse. She has faced worse in tree cities before. I mean, it depends how easy we want to make this for her. The last time she faced a dragon in a tree city, she just whispered a word and it froze instantly and shattered to pieces when it fell from out of the sky. So, I don't think she's that afraid of the bear. Maybe she'll pet it because she thinks it's cute, and we'll see what happens next.
So I have to ask, in what book of these 3 books that are the omnibus edition is she in a tree city?
Let me think. They technically get to it and spend more time there. Book 2.
Okay, so now I have to read up to book 2 at least.
Yep.
But go ahead. So
Decent of you.
So I mean, at the moment she's petting it, seeing what will happen.
Okay.
She's kind of used to the world, she kind of just rolls with the punches and sees what happens. Usually it works out for her because basically the whole world is, without her knowing, kind of subject to her every whim. So
I really think you need to be the bear here.
So the bear is going to rise up on its hind legs, full extension, 8.5 feet tall, and with fetid breath, roar at the little girl.
Yeah, she'd be the kind who was like me in the theater, watching Lord of the Rings for the first time, and you see the Balrog leap out, with Gandalf on the bridge, and I was the kid who was like, cool, and a few people around kind of looked at this 10-year-old kid and were like, shh, and then a few scenes, and then maybe not a few scenes, but later in the movie, Aragorn chops off the head, Uruk-ai's, head, right? And I was the kid who screamed out, cool, in exactly that voice, and the whole theater just burst out laughing, right? She's that kid, more or less, so she'd probably just be like, oh, maybe a little giggle.
Get over you were 10 when you watched that movie.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, belly rub, exactly, Ed. Yeah, she's giving it a belly rub for sure.
Okay, so give it a belly rub, and then it rolls over, and now she has her. Who needs a horse? She has a bear she can ride.
Perfect. This is great. Yeah,
that sounds completely plausible.
Things tend to work out for her. Now, if it was in her world, most, if not, well, most, not all, but most things in the world are infected by kind of this weird, evil, parasitic organism, semi-conscious, but she's more or less immune to it for reasons that, kind of come out later. And that basically means the whole world kind of does what she wants in some way or other. So this makes sense to me. This tracks, Yeah.
Okay. And before we go, just so everyone knows, the race to 500 is for this.
So that's where the Bald Dome is ending, with her just riding a bear into the sunset? This is great.
We did make it at first gladiatorial, and then we're like, no, it's your character. How would they do this? And let's just tell us a story.
Perfect. It works.
This is what 500 will get you, or will get me, I guess.
Yeah. A headload of pain. Oh, I love getting tattoos. It's as addictive as commissioning art for books, but it hurts. It hurts in the wrong spots, and that is the wrong spot.
Oh, We have a question here from your potential co-host.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Tell your mom to. Yeah, sorry. Oh, that's great. Yeah, Tim, we gotta get Tim's mom on the channel. Next time Tim is on, I want to see his mom in the background.
We'll get them both on creature creation.
Sorry?
We'll get them both on creature creation.
There we go. That's perfect. Yeah. Okay. See, that feels like a very long. I'm sure I can give a condensed version of what inspired the book for Isaac.
Yeah, he said real quick. So.
Sorry?
He said real quick. So yeah, must be a condensed version.
You said it was Glenlivet earlier, right? That had something.
I'm willing to go with that. Yeah, a few extra nights. Yeah, when I first bear in mind, I was part of a denomination where you weren't allowed to drink as a pastor. They didn't have a problem with anyone else drinking, but pastors were not allowed to have alcohol. So you better believe when I left ministry, the first thing I did is I went to our liquor store and I bought a bottle of scotch. That my very first sip of alcohol was scotch. Kid you not.
Oh.
Yeah. I started strong. So
yeah.
It don't have to be quick. Yeah. I mean, oh gosh, it's interesting going back 3 years. It's tough to answer the inspiration question because a lot of this is just vivid daydreams that go back to when I was younger, and that have just evolved over the years, kind of just a habit I never broke free from or never wanted to, Yeah, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, I had this conversation just yet. Here's how I'll sum it up. I had the conversation the other day with I think it was another author. I'm trying to remember who exactly it was now. But we were talking, and we were talking about creativity and how a lot of new writers and new authors, are afraid to start because they feel they aren't creative enough. Their ideas aren't original enough, And I've never seen imagination that way, right? Originality comes with time experience, and it comes because you yourself are unique. But ultimately, our brains are, more or less just randomized collections of everything we've taken in, right? I feel like the combination of being, there were some situations when I was a lot younger, going back to around 10, 11 years old, where my escape was fantasy. It was reading fantasy and it was imagining my own. And so since a young age, that it started out as an escape, but then turned into an adventure. It turned into my way of exploring problems in the world and trying to figure out how to solve them. It was this very useful thing for me, not just an escape, but something. I'm looking forward to this chat with EL. Anyways, like that's what fantasy was, this combination of inspiration and escape and everything in between for me from a very young age. And creativity to me was always just connecting the fantasy I had created with the fantasy I had, experienced from movies and books that I read. And then years go by and that evolves into something, which evolves into something, which evolves into something. And, 3 years ago, where that story was at in my mind was where we're at in these books, starting with that first character that always gives people that first chapter that always gives people a bit of a run for their money, Origins of a Villain, chapter 1 of the book. You'll understand when you get to the end of it. And it birthed this whole concept of a world and a series of villains and this landscape where to me, it's a way of exploring some themes and concepts that I've been trying to understand the last few years in a setting that I find enjoyable, and hopefully everyone will enjoy coming along for the ride. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yep. Can you hold your book up one more time and tell us when it's coming out for the people who haven't got ARCs?
Yeah, so those few who haven't. The Fall of Salvandrea comes out on September 26th.
Okay. And it's a light read. It'll only take a few hours and you'll be finished. I had one. My very first review came in on Goodreads from Kat Bowser. I want to get her name right. Anyways, but she told me after reading it, she said, Kat Bowser. She said, I read it in 7 days. I couldn't put it down. So, that's a pretty good start. You got like that.
That depends on reading pace, but I wrote it to be digestible.
And is it going to be in Spiffbo next year? If the gods love you.
I mean, 50-50 chance, but we'll see.
Maybe.
Is that how probability works? Anyways, yeah. if they still do the probability, entry, then yeah.
Oh, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Tim. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me, guys.
All right. And thank you, everybody, for being here. And like and subscribe, leave a comment, all that fun stuff. And check us out on Twitter and buy Tim's book in September 26th.
Yes. Or pre-order now. You're allowed.
Or that. Yeah. Don't wait.
Or for all the ARC readers, buy it again. And then in February, buy it a third time.
There you go.
All right.
Terrible.
Take us away, Mike.
Cheers, everyone.
Okay, everyone wave awkwardly. It's time to go.